My name is Matt Warshauer. I'm a professor of history at Central Connecticut State University. And one of the questions that we're talking about today is how might we compare the trauma that children experience in war? And, I was talking about a little earlier about 9/11 and the concept of a 9/11 generation and how that event shapes an entire generation of kids in the United States. Well, how might we think about that in regards to what's going on in Ukraine? And certainly, having to flee your home and the refugee crisis in Ukraine as a result of the Russian invasion there is going to unquestionably traumatize a generation of kids. And, this has been true throughout the history of warfare. And there's been a lot of studies on trauma related to warfare in children. I think what's a little bit different in this regard from the 9/11 generation is the open-endedness or the lack of open-endedness in war. So you take something like World War II, and it's very, very neatly bookended. You have, for the United States, you have Pearl Harbor, you have 4 years of war, you have the end of Pearl Harbor, unconditional surrender, and a victorious United States. 9/11, the kids don't have that experience. It trails on and on and on. And the way that we set up the war on terror is really never ending. So there's no clean endpoint where anyone can claim victory. I think for Ukraine, it's going to be more similar to the reality of World War II. I don't think that battle is going to go on and on and on forever. I think that there's a period of trauma that will exist there. And there's going to be a moment when Russia is forced to leave Ukraine. And though there will still be destroyed cities and trauma, I think there's already a story and a narrative that's already developing in Ukraine of standing up to an aggressor. And that results in elements of pride and patriotism for Ukrainians. And so there's something in that to balance the impact of the war. There was an element of that in 9/11 where there was this moment of unity. But when the United States decides to go in the direction of expanding the war on terror into Iraq, it creates tremendous confliction inside the United States and inside the world. And in a lot of ways, it darkens America's actions and it calls into question what the policy of the government is, and it creates division, right? So it makes it very, very complicated. I think that Ukraine is a different kind of a situation. It's not as complicated. And I don't mean that to take away from what's happening in Ukraine at all. I just mean that most people can look at what's going on in Ukraine and see with great clarity the issues of wrong and right that exists there. So while there will definitely be trauma among the children there, I think there's also something in that will bring out resiliency and pride in the Ukrainian people.